Hello traders, it's Samurai Trader here. Welcome to this training session, session 166. In today's session I'm going to be playing back a live recording of me trading the CL contract for Texas Tea. I'll also, excuse my voice by the way, I do a lot of talking with my coaching. Recent times we've got the Iran war going on, and oil's been all over the place, as I'm about to show you. So some traders ask me, why aren't I trading oil all the time? Because my favorite market at the moment is the ES, and it's because oil can go into long time periods of being in a trading range, as I'm about to show you, and then it gets very volatile, which makes it a lot more difficult to trade. On the other hand, I've been trading the ES, and I'll quickly show you that as well, and I've just had 4 out of 4 over the last, what's the time now, over past 6 hours. I had 3 trades and I've just fired off another one some hours later, and I'll show you those as well. So what is really important as scalpers and day traders, that we trade a market that's moving. I don't want to be stuck in a trading range. They say in real estate trading, real estate is about location. When it comes to scalping and day trading, it comes down to momentum. So you're going to be watching a live recording as I trade the CL, and I'm going to be sharing with you my trades I've taken on the ES. Now, as always, you can apply the strategies that I teach you to futures, forex, and stocks. Now, there is a risk in trading. Please don't trade with money you can't afford to lose. Stay on the simulator until you're consistently profitable. So with today's recording, you'll see here that you'll only see 3 of the trades I took, and then sometime later I ended up taking another 2. But let me just explain this. Now, this is screenshots. I'm going to show you the actual recording of the trades very soon. Now, I'm a big believer in POQ, the power of quitting. I like to hit my target and finish for the day. So here on oil, trading the 4 tick, where my target is $400 a day per contract traded. That's on the 4 tick. If I'm trading a lower time frame, I target $250 a day per contract, but I trade more contracts. Now, sometime later I then fired off this trade here, and immediately it was a loss. And then I took this one and went for a runner, and I picked it all up and ended up, what was that, 416 compared to, so that was a really nice run, over $1,000 in that one. But the reason I like POQ, power of quitting, it's nothing more frustrating. You've hit your target and then you fire off another trade and you give back $800,000 or $1,000, depends on the number of contracts, of course, that we are trading. Now let me just show you what's been happening. So what I wanted to do was to actually fire off some trades on oil to show you that it's just not a random day, the recording I'm showing you. However, this can be the challenge with oil. Now it is on the higher time frame. This is a 4 tick. The lower the time frame you can trade, the better, because you've got a smaller stop loss. However, over an hour and a quarter, and it's only just started to move the last 20 minutes, the market has been absolutely dead. So I'd already put this on the chart looking for some trades, and we were going to fire some trades off on oil. Anyway, I'm running out of time because I've got my live trading room in 2 hours time, so I needed to get this recorded. So finally the market is moving, and in fact in 23 minutes we've actually got the not the New York Open, the London Open. So it's nearly 2 a.m. Central Standard Time. Now you can trade oil basically 23 hours a day, and you don't have to be trading at the time I'm trading. This is going back to 8 p.m. for an example, Central Standard Time. Now you'll notice that in many of my videos I trade the after hours market called the Globex market, just because I'm down under in Australia and our hours are upside down. So can you trade the exact same strategies during the New York hours? Of course you can. Okay, you can trade from 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll get a ton of trading opportunities. Now let me just show you for an example trading the ES. Now this is going back to just after or just before midnight today Central Standard Time, or should I say yesterday. And with this particular one, and I've actually recorded this, so I'll actually probably do another video on this. So I've got dozens that I haven't recorded yet, and this is on the ES come down. Now eventually, so I ended up 4 out of 4 for the day. Oil was going up. Now when oil goes up, usually the ES will come on down, and we hit the low of day 3 times, and I was actually about to cut the trade and exit and get out at break even, because we've also got not only a standard stop out, that is where the market comes back and takes you out, but I also have a concept called a time-based stop. Time-based stop is if you're in a trade as a scalper for say any more than 10-15 minutes. For me, that's a long time. I want to get out of there. Okay, and so it ended up being mighty fine. I picked up an extra profit, and in fact let me just show you the earlier trades. So here are the trades from earlier last evening. So what's that, 1700, so it's about 7:30 Central Standard Time last night. Now these are all very standard patterns that I trade, and that's really important. All of my setups are pattern based and rules based. Now that was all over and done with in what, 5 or 6, what's that there, 5, that's all over in 10 minutes. That was too fast for my comfort zone. Now the choice is when the market's really going quickly, that's when you either increase your time frame, the time frame that you're trading, to slow the chart down, or we look for another market, or of course sit on hands. So it was over a $5,000 day, and as I said, I was trying to get some trades in on the CL, but no but we just had one that would have been a beautiful one. Now let me show you this. Now I hope it doesn't seem like I'm jumping around, because there's so much information I want to share with you. So if we look at this just here, and what I might have to do is just switch this camera over to the top left, because we need to jump ahead to where we are right now. See that one right there. Now for members watching this, this is where it then took off. Now I could see this actually forming just before, as I was preparing for this video. Why didn't I take this? Well, I had a pivot below. We'd been in this range. Was this going to be the breakout to go long, or were we going to break out to go short? Traders suffer from a concept called FOMO, fear of missing out. It's so important, traders, that we sit on hands, we patiently wait for the right setups. Okay, and so look, you had one there which we could have taken. The next one was there. You had one here which may have been a loss. Okay, so you may have had a loss just there, and here is then your other plain vanilla trade. So let's go now back to the PowerPoint, and let me start to walk you through some of the key concepts in trading oil and exactly what I'm looking for, and we'll play back the recording of 3 of the 4 trades that I've taken. So in the 4th trade I took sometime later. Actually there were 2 more. I took, one was a loss, one was a win. I'd already wrapped up. I had no intentions of trading anymore, but I saw what appeared to be a great setup, but I got stopped on it, and I wanted to get that money back. Now traders, there's no such thing as certainties, or very rarely when it comes to trading, but what we do have is probabilities. We've got to learn to think and trade in probabilities of 20 trades. Can we have 2 losing trades in a row? Absolutely. That's why we've got to think big term. Unfortunately, so many traders have a couple of losses, and all of a sudden they think it's broken, and they go looking for what we call the next shiny object. So let me now give you a bit of background here on exactly what I'm looking for and why, and what is really important, the ideas when it comes to money management. Now a lot of traders will jump ahead. They don't want to hear about this, and they wonder why they never make it as traders. Ultimately, number one, we are risk managers. We've got to manage our risk. We are managing our own account. Now I've got dozens of traders now that trade with prop firms. In fact, do I show that down here? No, I don't. So in my live trading room, actually, let me just get this. I just want to point this out. So I've just pulled this up because I think it's important that you see this. Traders, I've now been day trading for over 28 years. In my live trading room, I have 277 traders, and I mentioned that I start at today at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So what is that? That's now 3 hours from now. No, that's 2 hours from now, because my clock on my computer is Central Standard Time. And in my coaching program, I've got 322 traders that are members of that. So with all this experience and live trading in front of traders, all the more reason why I ask you to take the time and watch this video. Now, first of all, let me quickly talk you, and if you watch my videos, you already have a good idea on my mindset when it comes to trading as a scalper. I don't generally go for home runs. I want to get in, get out, get paid. And this excellent book on Moneyball, on this baseball team, and that's what it was all about. Don't go for the home run, just get on base. And so what you'll see is I go for a number of small targets, get in, get out, which also means I have a smaller stop loss. And with that being said, I've got to show you this again. So remember on oil, we were just looking at this here. Where is it? This is important that you see. Let me minimize this. I've got 6 screens here, and I've got, see that right there? You just had another key setup right there. Trading is not rocket science. What can you see here? I'm in a downtrend. See the black arrows and see the white paint bars. These are actually giving me multiple entry signals here. Now this is a 4-tick chart. Now what that means is if you trade a Renko chart, every one of these steps, and see how they look like steps, they're offset by 2 ticks, which means each step down is worth $20 or $2 on the micro contract. Now I'm after $400 a day per contract traded. Now as you're about to see what that represents, it's actually a 5% return per day. And as I said, I believe in POQ. Now what are you looking for as a trader? You're looking for these. You can see here I've got a number of EMAs, and then I've got my indicators to plot in real time. They don't replot, but are telling me, hey, here's a trade to consider. And let me say to consider, because what I'm also doing, traders, is looking at a higher time frame. Very simple concept. We want to be trading in the direction of a higher time frame. So let's quickly talk about money management. If you're going to trade, say, the 2-tick chart, now the 2-tick is my preferred time frame on CL, but with the volatility you may have to trade the 4-tick. So what we might even do is jump ahead to the 4-tick and talk about the 4-tick right now. Now if you trade the way I trade, where you've got a good size stop, your stop loss may be as much as 16 ticks, which is $160. What that means is if you never risk any more than 2%, which is the maximum risk I recommend you ever have in the market, remember you're in it for the long term, you need to have an $8,000 account. What if you don't have 8,000? Either join a prop firm, in which, sorry, I meant to show you with all those traders in my room, many of those are prop traders using prop firm accounts. If you don't want to trade with a prop firm and give them 10 to 20% of your profits, you can start off on a micro where on the higher time frame you need to have $800. I know your broker will tell you, look, you only need $50 or $100 for intraday trading. That is true, but what happens if you've got a 2% loss? Okay, you're going to knock that out within no time and go broke. So $800, you start with 800 and we go for $40 a day. What this means is if I go for 4 12-tick trades a day, and once again we're going to be looking at some live trades in a moment, recorded trades, that's going to net you after commissions $40 a day. Now that means then within 12 weeks I've now got an account there, I've got to say legally potentially, of nearly $10,000. I'm netting around $2,000 a week. You might be happy just to keep doing this, but then it enables me to roll over and start trading the big contract. Now on the big contract, if I then net 4 12-tick trades a day, or what I call scalps, that's 400 a day. Look where you are in 10 weeks. There's your basically a $12,000 a week income. Within 13 weeks, that's $25,000 a week potential income. Now before you say, oh BS, you can't do that, traders, have an open mind for a couple of minutes. Okay, you see the way this spreadsheet works, you only start trading an additional contract each time you double your money. You start off with 8,000, you're trading one contract. When you're up to 16,000, we now start trading 2. When you're up to 24,000, we now start trading 3. You can't be any more conservative than that. Now for the young guns watching this, actually it was on the I was going to show you this on on the lower time frame. I think I mentioned my preference is to trade the lower time frame, less capital involved. However, okay, look where you are, is your 13 grand a week within 7 weeks. However, the market's got to be tradable. It's got to be slow enough to trade. Now let's let me just show you this here. Most coaches or educators won't show you this, okay, but it's critical as part of your trading plan that we get you on the right track. How many trades a day realistically do you need to take to hit your account, or to hit 4,000 a day? That's 10 contracts, but to hit $400 a day per contract. Let's look at this here, and this is included if you become a member. This is included in your membership. You can play around with this. I've got all sorts of things, tools, so you develop your trading plan. Remember, we are going to have a recording soon. Be patient. You need to see this. The tick value on CL is $10. It's $1 on the micro. Let's assume here you pay $5 in commission. I've got with my lifetime license on NinjaTrader, I think it's, what is it there? It is $4.52 to be exact. Here, if you've got a stop loss of up to 16 ticks, it's usually about 14 ticks with my entry method, and say if your only target 14 ticks, less than 1 to 1, and you've only got a 70-30 win-loss ratio, so we're going on the low side with our scalps. I need 9 trades a day. Now the beautiful part about this is, and I'll just drag, rather than go back, I'll drag this one over once again. 1, 2, now here 1 2 3 4 5. Look, there we wouldn't have got our 14 ticks out of that one until we rolled over, but there is 2 of the 4 trades, or if you trail, you've already hit your $400 based upon these moves. Now do you think you'll be able to identify a retracement and a bounce? Now there's a bit more to it than that, but overall, do I have a trending major moving average, and do I have a bounce identified then by my trend following indicators? Now put that back over here. 9 trades a day, basically if you're only getting 70-30, but as you're about to see, I'm between 80 and 90%, but I'm very precise on my entries. Do I stuff up sometimes? You bet. Do I get them all right? Absolutely not. So as you're about to see, I got 4 out of 5 with what we're about to cover. Now let me just give you a very quick advertisement because there's some benefits here for you. First of all, if you haven't downloaded my ebook, please look in the description link below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you'll be kept up to date with all of my latest videos. And why don't you become a member? I'm going to be quick with this. For $297 you get lifetime access to what is probably the world's most comprehensive members area for scalpers and day traders. I've got Excel spreadsheets for business plans. Look, I could spend an hour on this. There's over 35 PowerPoints. There's hundreds of hours of recordings of live trading sessions, of training sessions, etc. I've already mentioned, and this is from last month, I've got hundreds of members in either my live trading room or my coaching room. And on top of that, I'll give you a month free in my coaching room. So that is, you get 8 live and recorded sessions. These coaching sessions I've been running for years. Okay, now this shows so we're up to 97 months where all of the handouts I've been putting into a Google Drive, but in fact I've been, what is it now, 11 years I've now been running these coaching sessions twice a week, 2 hours, where you can log in and I'll talk about the trades of the day, trades I've taken, money management, risk management, the best markets to trade, where to enter, where to place your stop loss, where to exit the trade, etc., etc. And you can type in questions, and of course I give you full email support. So $297, you can join with the link below. Now let's go to the recording, because the next question is, as they say, asking the right question is half the answer. That is, okay, this looks great. I want to be netting, 10, 15, 20 grand a week. How do I do that? How does the average person that's brand new to trading, or maybe it's been struggling, do this? Well, let's now watch this recording, and I'm going to walk you through. There's no voiceover except for me talking here. Is what I usually do is just hit record because I want to focus on the charts. And let me just run you through some of these setups. Now first of all, I've gone short here, and this is actually a danger zone. So why on earth is this a danger zone? Now see this purple line, this is a major EMA, and you can see I've bounced on that a number of times. There are, see this here, that's the current day's high, and see that blue line, and here we've got, these are called pivots: current day, yesterday's open, current day's open, and major EMAs. They act as major support resistance levels, as well as what we call price magnets. Now with maybe 1 or 2 hours of training, you pick up what these are very quickly, and they plot automatically on your chart. So what I've done, I've taken this short because I know the number of times I bounce on this level, I've got a very good chance of pushing through this level. Now this is what I call a 70-30 trade. It's not an 80-20. The late Dick Diamond would say, a great trader, and look at this just there, and I'll point this out as well in a sec. Dick Diamond would say, if it's not an 80-20 trade, I'm not interested in taking it. Now you can see here, this is my anchor chart, which is a 7-4 Renko. See how I'm sitting on major EMAs, but I've got a couple of indicators that are available on basically any good trading platform. That's very important too. If you're not using NinjaTrader or TradeStation, there's a couple of indicators I haven't coded for TradeStation, but most things I've got for TradeStation, and of course NinjaTrader. You get all of these in a membership, but I give you the indicator settings that you can replicate these on virtually any good trading platform. trading view and multi-charts, it really doesn't matter. So either way, I give you the indicator settings, but this is a danger area because we're at support. So I'm looking at my higher time frame, and by the way, over there I had a beautiful divergence trade potential. I wasn't in it, and we're bouncing off the high. Now when you get a bounce off a pivot, see that there, that big double top just there, and you've got divergence on your higher time frame, that then becomes what we call a loaded trade. And what we can see just here, traders, is we've now popped through, and I'm now heading down. Hopefully I get filled. Sometimes you'll see me actually bring my target up, because see that black line, that is a major EMA on a higher time frame. What I've discovered, and I'm proud to say some of these, remember I've been trading 28 years, is that there are certain moving averages that you put on lower time frames that give you incredible, they become price magnets. It's incredible. And you know, once again, an EMA, and as Gann famously said, there's nothing new under the sun, but it's just using certain lengths of these work brilliantly. So here I'm waiting to get filled. I've gone to break even and locked a couple of ticks in, so it's now a no risk trade, and I'm just waiting. Now what I'm pointing out here is I'm now looking at breaking. If I get below there, that black line there's a very good chance, and now we're out, we've hit our target. Now I've got a very good chance, if I get another setup here, of getting down and hitting the pivot below. Now this is the 4 tick. Now as I mentioned on oil before the Iran war, this time of day, and this is just after midnight Central Standard Time, you'd be trading for 2 tick. But with the war, we've got all this extra volatility in the market, and I'm just watching the ears go off on the other screen. So let's just move this along. So here you can see my target is 400 a day. It's part of my business plan, and there's a reason for that, and I've got a maximum stop of 16 ticks. It works out to be an average probably of 14 ticks, but I look at the worst case scenario. And with my trade entries, hopefully we see one in a moment, and that one no, that one was based upon what I call a slingshot, but usually you'll see me put an order in well in advance, based upon an indicator on our higher time frame. Very easy to read, very easy to use. Now here I'm targeting. Now this is not a perfect potential trial. We're in the trade, but see here how I'm slightly below the pivot here, yesterday's close. Now sometimes we don't get through these, we bounce. Now using my ATM, and the ATM traders is what you manage your trade with, you may notice I've got my target already set up, and I've got my stop loss. Now you can also have your go to break even set up automatically. Nowadays I like to manage mine manually, okay, but once again my stop is always there. I can't believe there's so many traders say I don't trade with a stop loss. Okay, so now we've had 2 out of 2. Now what's below me? Now see how I've scrunched my charts up just there. Why do I do that? What's below my trade? What I'm looking for is, well, first of all, see over here, that's what I call on the right, on the left there, that's blue sky. There's nothing in front of me if I had a trade here until I hit the pivot. So over distant from there down to here, and now I've taken this one. This is what we call a pivot magnet trade, by the way. So I'm taking this, and see the pivot down below. Now you might say, well, hang on, that's the low of day. It acts just like a pivot. Now when we do hit the low of day, we usually push through, okay, but I'm usually very happy. Sometimes you'll see my target just on the other side, but here we're targeting the pivot. It's what we call a pivot magnet trade, very high probability setup, because once again I've got my higher time frame and my entry chart trending into a pivot. As a professional trader, it becomes we all trade these. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, is it 100%? No. Is it 80 to 90%? Absolutely, if you trade it correctly. And it ain't rocket science, let me tell you. So I'm targeting this little target down here, down to that pivot. So here we've almost hit it, and bang. Now that was the market speed, by the way. You just saw, just hit there. Now, and here I'm just pointing out here in the recording, I'm now at the day's low. So that's 3 out of 3 in that move, and we'll probably see, I'll probably put up on the what am I going to say? Oh, follow the gold. See the gold EMA? For brand new traders, I'll make it really easy. We trade in the direction of the gold. See the gold on the higher time frame, gold on the lower time frame. And note at the low of day, at the moment we're getting a little bounce. Now we push through by 1 or 2 ticks. Now this is the actual market speed, you can see just there. Now remember I said that the 2 tick is just too fast a lot of time right now, and this is why. Imagine that double the speed. Okay, makes it very hard to trade. That's why I'm on the 4 tick here. Now just there we had another potential entry, but what we'll see is with those 3 trades I'd already hit my target now, which is 400 a day per contract. So what do we hit just there? I'll probably type it in a sec. There it is there. So we'd hit, whoops, let me just go back. So just there we'd hit after commissions 27.97. Now remember I'm after 400 a day, so well and truly exceeded that. And that is where, though, then a little further along, I'll show you this once again, because it's important that you see these. I had a loss. Now I want you to notice here, what can you see? Well, I've got all these flat EMAs here, but it was really a breakout pullback. I took it ticked down a few ticks, and then I had a full stop out. Okay, it stopped me out, bang. These normally traders are fantastic trades. So then I waited up here. This is what we call a T20-1, and I took the T20-1. I front run the pivot. I thought yeah, that's right. I hit record and went to I've actually recorded this. Now I remember I've got another recording here somewhere, and I typed that in, front run the pivot. Now what does that mean, to front run the pivot? See that red candle just there? When it's a Renko, it's actually called a brick, but I just call them candles. See that there? See how we bounce quite often, and we went through and then we did bounce off it. That is where usually I'll want to cover, exit the trade when I hit a pivot. To front run means I want to get out before we hit the pivot by a few ticks, because I know that quite often you'll have some big players will front run also, and we won't quite hit it, or we will bounce off the pivot. And here there was a little bounce. That was all the targets being covered there, and then it continued, and then we rolled over right there. So instead of 400 at the end of the day, I ended up with 693 per contract. So that was a good day. Traders, this is not rocket science. It's about mastering the art of day trading through trading a rules-based strategy or strategies. When you first start to trade, you want to focus on just 1 or 2 trend following strategies only. You'll see in a lot of my videos there, they were all trend following. I do a lot of CT trading, counter trend trading, but I've got the experience. All you've got to do, traders, is master trading with the trend. Now for $297, as I mentioned, you get lifetime access to the members area and any upgrades, etc., and all the indicators for all the different platforms I have. And if I don't have it coded, you get the settings that I use, and of course you can attend 1 month in my coaching session. Now after 1 month, if you want to continue in those sessions, it's $197 a month. You have to go to the website. It's not an automatic sign up, and sign up, and you can see there I've got hundreds of traders in there. They're there for a good reason, because of what I'm delivering to them. So traders, I look forward to having you as a member, and I hope you enjoyed the video. So just be careful on CL at the moment. ES is trending beautifully, and by the way, and just on that, for those that are still wondering, what CL ES look like right now. So let's just go right ahead here. This is a danger zone, and see that spike just there. Oh, it's 9 minutes after the hour, by the way. So London opened 9 minutes ago. When you have flat EMAs, this is a time just to cross your arms, take your hand off the mouse, and wait a couple of minutes. Thanks traders. See you on the next video. See you on one of my classes.